There's a moment, quiet, almost invisible, when you realize you've been parenting yourself for years. No one handed you the role. You just stepped into it, because someone had to. You became the one who says, "It's okay, keep going." The one who checks if the doors are locked, who plans, who protects, who never lets things fall apart. And somewhere along the way, you forgot what it felt like to be cared for. It's a strange kind of adulthood, one built on responsibility, not readiness. You learned early that love could vanish without warning, so you built yourself into a safety net. You became your own parent, not because you wanted independence, but because you had no choice. In psychology, they call this internalized caregiving, when your nervous system becomes both the child and the caretaker. You comfort yourself the way no one else did, but you also scold yourself the way they used to. You repeat both voices, the gentle and the harsh. You grew up in a world where being your own guardian felt safer than relying on anyone. And maybe even now, when someone tries to take care of you, you flinch, not out of rejection, but out of muscle memory. You were raised to survive without softness. So now, softness feels suspicious. But here's the quiet truth. What you built to survive is not what you need to stay alive. At some point, the child in you deserves to stop parenting themselves. Not by erasing the strength, but by finally letting someone else be safe, too. You didn't mean to become your own parent. It began with small moments, forgotten lunches, unanswered cries, a grown-up too tired or too wounded to notice your needs. So you noticed them yourself. You learned to read moods instead of bedtime stories, to offer comfort before you even knew what comfort meant. Children like you grow up fast in invisible ways. You develop radar, the ability to sense tension before words form. That's not magic. That's hypervigilance. Your nervous system tuned to predict pain before it lands. It made you good at surviving, but terrible at receiving. Now, as an adult, you're both roles at once. You tuck yourself into bed after long days. You remind yourself to eat. You give yourself pep talks when no one else does. But beneath that independence, there's an ache, the kind that whispers, "I shouldn't have had to." You still talk to yourself like a parent. Sometimes with kindness, "You did your best." Sometimes with criticism, "Why can't you just be normal?" Both voices are echoes, the inner chorus built from everyone you once had to interpret. And maybe you've noticed something else. The more responsible you became, the harder it was to feel safe. Because for you, safety was never passive. It was earned, managed, held. You trusted structure more than softness, rules more than rest. But the truth is, the job of being your own parent was always meant to be temporary. The goal was never perfection, it was protection. And protection is not the same as peace. Your body remembers what your mind tries to outgrow. The quiet tension before someone walks through the door. The way you shrink when voices rise. The instinct to fix, to smooth, to make peace before it's asked of you. These reflexes are old, carved into your nervous system like rings inside a tree. Every ring, a season of responsibility you shouldn't have carried. And even now, decades later, you can still feel the echo of those invisible years. Neuroscience calls this implicit memory, the emotional residue that lives in your body's reactions. You don't remember the moment you decided to be the adult, but your heartbeat does. Your muscles do. The part of you that flinches at kindness, that's memory, not character. You might notice how you still try to parent your emotions. You regulate before you even feel. You suppress before you speak. When sadness visits, you offer advice instead of space. When anger stirs, you punish yourself for it. Because somewhere along the way, you learned that only calm people are lovable. But here's the paradox. The version of you that learned to protect is also the version that deserves to play. The protector and the child both live inside you. And healing isn't choosing one over the other. It's letting them meet. Letting them sit at the same table and finally say, "You did enough." Maybe the first real parenting you'll ever know is the kind you offer yourself now. Not from duty, but from love. In adulthood, this pattern wears many faces. At work, you're the dependable one, calm, composed, organized. People trust you with everything because you make it look easy. But they don't see the exhaustion that comes from being everyone's emotional emergency exit. You keep showing up because that's what good parents do. Only now, you're parenting the world. In relationships, it's subtler. You attract people who feel like projects, fragile, chaotic, in need of rescue. You become their steady ground, their therapist, their constant reassurance. But when the roles reverse, when you're the one unraveling, you freeze. You don't know how to be the one who's held. And in solitude, the hardest moments arrive. The silence after a long day. The room that echoes with your own voice. No one to check if you ate. No one to say, "I'm proud of you." So you say it to yourself, but it lands hollow, because it's not the same as hearing it from someone who once should have said it. If this is you, it's not because you failed at healing. It's because your survival blueprint was written before you ever had a choice. Your inner child built a home out of vigilance and discipline. Your adult self still lives there, tidy, functional, lonely. But here's the grace. You can rebuild without tearing it down. You can make space in that old house, a room with warm light, soft music, and no expectations to be strong. Because healing isn't demolishing who you were. It's letting who you were finally rest. So where do you begin when the person you most need care from is you? You start small, not with mantras or perfection, but with noticing. Notice when you rush to fix your feelings instead of feeling them. Notice when your inner voice sounds more like an old authority than a friend. Then pause. Ask softly, what would I say to a child feeling this way? And offer yourself that same tone. It's not indulgence, it's reparenting. A practice psychologists describe as giving yourself the love, protection, and attunement you missed. But you don't have to make it ceremonial. It can be as gentle as wrapping your own arms around your body when no one's there. As small as leaving the light on if darkness still stirs something old in you. Try this. Write a sentence your younger self never got to hear. Maybe, you didn't ruin anything. Or, you were just a child. Say it until it feels real. Not because you believe it yet, but because you deserve to hear it enough times to start. And when you catch yourself doing too much, organizing, rescuing, explaining, remind yourself, you don't have to parent every moment. Let some moments be wild, unstructured, free. That's how safety begins to coexist with softness. You're not too self-reliant. You were just underprotected. You're not emotionally distant. You learned to survive silence. Now, your task isn't to rebuild childhood. It's to create adulthood that feels like home. Maybe healing isn't about becoming brand new. Maybe it's about becoming who you needed and letting that version of you stay. You can still be the one who handles things, but you no longer have to handle yourself like a burden. You can be responsible without being rigid, strong without being self-sacrificing. You can hold your own hand, not because no one else will, but because now you choose to. The child inside you doesn't need another lecture. They need lullabies. They need you to whisper, "You did enough. You were enough." They need you to look around your adult life and notice, you made it out. You built safety with your bare hands. And now, you get to live in it. So tonight, when the world finally quiets, breathe. Imagine sitting beside your younger self. No advice, no fixing, just presence. Let them rest their head on your shoulder. Let them know, the parent they always needed finally arrived. If this felt like your story, write below the word you wish someone had said to you growing up. Maybe it's seen. Maybe it's safe. Maybe it's loved. And before you go, share this quietly with someone still learning to care for themselves. Because somewhere out there, another tired soul is still parenting their pain alone, waiting for permission to stop. You can give it to them and to yourself.